Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Sean Kane Holland. I'm the Access Nature Disability Advocate with Pinelands Preservation Alliance. I'm joined by Carleton Montgomery, my supervisor and executive director for Pinelands Preservation Alliance. Uh, our nonprofit organization is based in Vincenttown, Burlington County, New Jersey, and our main mission is really to preserve the Pine Barrens ecosystem, promote public engagement and education uh, for the preservation of this land and the acquisition of natural lands. We are also dedicated to furthering justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in our staff and in our work. Everyone should have access to recreation and clean air and water and the scenic beauty that the New Jersey and the Pinelands provides. And with this, PPA has begun a project for equity, inclusion, and accessibility entitled Pinelands is for Everyone. This has now ballooned and has gone statewide, and we have now, it has evolved into the Nature Accessible for All initiative. This campaign is a collaborative effort by the Pinelands Preservation Alliance, the New Jersey Division of Disability Services, of the New Jersey Department of Human Services, the Edward J. Blaustein School, and Duke Farms have come together to lead a statewide effort to make recreating nature a part of lives for everyone in the state, regardless of disability or abilities. Bringing in new activists and partners to this cause is one main goal of this, and PPA has received critical funding from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to facilitate this campaign. We seek to bring together individuals, public agencies, and nonprofits to ensure that people with disabilities, their families, and allies can and do enjoy New Jersey's extraordinary natural places, because we realize that the individual with a disability, whether it be they were born with that disability or by age they have developed conditions. Now, this is a trickle down effect, so it doesn't just affect the person who has the concerns. It's going to affect the family, the friends, and everyone surrounding them when trying to gain access to nature. So it is a core value of the campaign that the voices from the disability community drive the design and implementation of the campaign strategies and activities. We are working towards the advancement of making New Jersey's outdoors open public spaces more inclusive and accessible to our disabled community. So a couple of ways that we're trying to develop this initiative is our main goal is to seek working with land managers at the state, local, and nonprofit levels in developing accessible nature trails. Yes. So actually, Carleton, could you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
So yeah, we are seeking to work with land managers at the state, local, and nonprofit levels in developing accessible nature trails, inclusive educational programs, and other passive outdoor recreation. We're looking to work with volunteer organizations to complete trail development and maintenance. Here on this slide, we've been working with Pemberton Township to develop a 0.6 of a mile trail system around Pemberton Lake. And right there is photographed myself and a individual, Charlotte Dornson, who is an activist and helped us, assess the trails, what would be needed to develop an accessible trail. So we're looking at, for these trails, we're looking at wide trail surfaces, flat surfaces, making it smooth, easier for mobility devices, crutches, wheelchairs to gain access onto these nature trails. We're looking to use natural resources, materials such as crushed stone millings to provide that flat and even surface, boardwalks as well in areas that might be inundated by wetlands. But yeah, so with the trail developments, we're looking, to provide enough information so individuals can discern whether or not a site is appropriate for them based on activities that are there and their own abilities to get to these locations. And also with land managers, we're asking them or working with them, trying to provide this information and crucial information for folks on these trails is to know what type of trail surfaces they're going to encounter, slopes, the grade of the slope, cross slopes, as well as the width of the trails. Move to the next slide. So working with the state last year through conversation and collaboration, we were able to work with the state park service, specifically at Adsine Lake, and developing more inclusive uh, resources to folks visiting the site there. Here, this was a ribbon cutting for the inclusive playground that they had just installed last year through Jake's Law. Also, we were able to donate 2 beach wheelchairs to the State Park Service there at Adsine Lake. You can see that photographed on the left there, that with the big balloon tires. Also, we were able to help the state in acquiring beach mats, which are mats that allow wheelchairs and mobility devices easier access onto sandy surfaces, getting them out onto the water's edge. Go to the next slide. So here's more of those beach wheelchairs that we were able to provide the state with, and then also there's myself in an electric wheelchair that we were able to acquire, testing the beach mats down to the lake's edge. Go to the next slide, please. And then, so here, this is another part of our initiative is working with volunteer groups in trail maintenance and development. This is a photograph taken with the South Jersey's Trail Club. Last year, we were able to have 3 volunteer days to improve a state park trail at the Brendan T. Byrne State Forest, the Cranberry Trail, which is a 3-mile long trail that runs from Packham Pond to the visitor center. But here you can see this is the crushed stones, that dark soil there. That's that crushed stone dust that we're looking to use in developing these accessible trails. And these guys were, there for a couple hours. We were able to do 1 mile of improvement so far, and looking to do more of that trail work this year with the state park and volunteer groups. But yeah, so that crushed stone dust really. Here's another, other better examples of the trail system. So that really does provide a stable and sturdy and compacted surface. I went out there in a manual wheelchair weeks afterwards, and was able to move rather easily on that surface there. And there's a group of volunteers there shoveling. So they really did all that work with shovels, rakes, and wheelbarrows. They did about a mile of that trail surface. So then also, we've been working with the the New Jersey Conservation Foundation in assessing all their lands that they manage. And I've been out actually these past couple weeks assessing some of their trails to start developing inclusive developments for these sites. what the amenities could be added, bird blinds and benches, beach or as well as the stone dust for the trails and boardwalks, bridges. Then
I
one
see
of
that Gina Marie has a question. Do you want to raise that question now, or do you want to wait till later?
I think we'll wait until the end if that's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, with the one of our second initiative goals is we're undertaking is establishing inclusive, adaptable, and accessible land and water-based eco-educational and recreational programs through our Pinelands Adventures, which is our livery service based in Chemung, New Jersey. And we've recently acquired 7, I'll call them rugged terrain wheelchairs and assistive mobility devices that we were able to loan out to individuals who are signing up for these educational programs, get out onto these trails. And prior to developing these programs, I had gone out on some of these trails, assessing the trails, but also the equipment that we were able to acquire. And this is a photograph of me last year at a event that we led, a bird watching event at the Franklin Parker Preserve, and I am actually testing out a Freedom Grit chair. A Freedom Grit chair, which is a hand levered cross between a mountain bike and I'll say a wheelchair. So somebody who has upper body strength and is fairly mobile, this would be an appropriate piece of equipment for them to get out onto these trails. Somebody who's active would enjoy that style of a chair. But we held also with these programs, we held 4 beta programs with the Kingsway Learning Center based in Morristown, New Jersey, and we actually took these groups out to sites in Wharton State Forest at Zion Recreational Lake, and that's where this photograph is taken. We also took them to Batstow Historic Village, and the programs were introductory courses to the ecology and plants, and so they learned about why is the lakes and streams in our area, why is it tea colored, why is what plants have certain scents, or what they could be used for in remedies and cultural importance of the site and the area. Another aspect for the for us is going out and assessing these sites. So this is a photograph taken at Ocean County Park, Enos Pond, where they had just done restoration. So I've been going out last year and this year to sites throughout New Jersey, managed by all land managers at different levels, state, local, nonprofit, to assess the trail surfaces, parking lots, bathrooms, visitor centers and facilities, information, signages that are there. Are they accessible to people who might have visual impairments, people who are using wheelchairs? Can they reach these bathrooms, or is there appropriate parking for them? So those are keys that we're looking for when looking at sites that are accessible and inclusive. And so, as I mentioned, this initiative has ballooned. It has started with the Pinelands region, and we have now gone statewide. And with this campaign, we are focusing on certain activities and goals, and I'll just highlight those right now. So, one focus is we like to highlight and normalize every person's ability and right to enjoy the natural places in New Jersey, and has protected our benefit by sharing stories, images, and videos with everyone in New Jersey. We'd also like to evaluate the nature trails, hold regular online meetings of our Access Nature Forum for people with disabilities, allies, and anyone interested in the subject. This forum is really set to be shared, information and ideas and discuss actions that improve access to nature, such as identifying policies and practices that limit access to nature. Coming to a forum and meeting is a great way to learn more about uh, this initiative and meet people. We've also created a Access Nature NJ map. So with that map, we've been populating that with the sites that I've gone out and assessed, and allows people to interact with that map and then search sites and can read about what the site has and if it's appropriate for them to visit the site based off of the amenities and inclusion or accessibility features that they have in the site. Also, we are hoping to bring about changes in policies and practices among government agencies, nonprofit, healthcare providers, and individuals that address the obstacles people with disabilities face to enjoying nature. Also, creating capacities among agencies and organizations to promote nature-based recreation, including staff members who have disabilities and a passion for nature. We're also looking to offer trainings for nature or for nature sites and their staff and their guides for educational trips, as well as creating a community, connectors who serve as links between the various communities and individuals with disabilities and their partners, and help identify new activities and participants and collect feedback and ideas from people with disabilities and caregivers. Go to the next slide. That
Yeah, the last one.
That's the last one. Oh.
Yep. Oops. There we go.
So, with that, I would like to conclude my presentation and open the floor to questions and comments. Thank you all for joining us in this conversation, and we hope to build more partnerships and collaborations in the future to make access to nature more inclusive and accessible to all.
Looks like Tina Marie, time for your question or comment.
Yes, thank you to Mr. Sean. Hi, I be do a couple Zooms with you now, so I very appreciate you going to many locations and stuff. I have a couple. One be Murphy, the admin passed a thing saying that every county needs to have a complete ADA park. And when your slide says you taking this statewide, is that something that the partners and the program is able to assures in place? Because like when I reach out and ask like, hey, what park is ADA safe for me? They kind of looked at each other like, what do I be talk about? So I not know if that's outside your wheelhouse. And another thing is when you're doing these changes to allow different function levels of life to protective us able to get out there and enjoy, are you putting in because like you mentioned it on the one slide, like where be the bathrooms, this that whatever, is there like stop off points of what are they called, shelters? Because with the weather changing, like you were somewhere in an electric wheelchair, you were saying like that would hurt, like it'd be one thing if we able to like go to the beach and use the chair that you have, the beach chair. But I just wondered because I'm so sorry. Access links not everywhere in the state. And a lot of places where we have to do-si-do to get to the stop points, there's not structures for us to be safe. So if we're in a chair and it starts to weather change, our chair dies, the inshore is an issue. Like, I just wanted to make sure, yeah, Mr. Matt with his hand up, shaking his head. I don't know if that's me or something else going on. I just wanted to make
No,
sure
we're
that
saying
with
yes.
this amazing program you have, those long-term quality function life is on the table talk. Thank you much, guys. I'm very grateful for what you're doing, and it really means a lot to many of us. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so with your question about the, when I do the site surveys, I do look for sites like you were saying, shelters and pavilions, any kind of structure on site on these sites that they might have. I assess them for accessibility. So if there are gazebos or picnic tables and shelters and such, and as well anybody who's doing these surveys should be looking out for those features to add as additions to the site. And when you click on the individual sites on that interactive map, it will provide you all that information.
I think you also raised a question though about like county parks. So in our effort, we are trying to involve county and municipal officials and park managers as much as possible, because ultimately they'll make the decisions about what kind of facilities they create and whether they build accessibility into their plans. And it's clear that some counties are really proactive and really engaged and interested in this issue. Others are, farther behind. But absolutely, it's essential to get those parks, because frequently, unlike say a state park, those may be the nearest park to many people where they live, a county or municipal park, and they may have really good natural features, but relatively few of them have been designed for accessibility. So you raise a lot of important issues, and we are trying to speak to those. I think, Matt, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think Tina Marie's point, I think, is spot on. I was agreeing with you, Tina Marie, because I think that, that's why you need people like Carleton just said from the counties and the municipalities getting that input, because that's not something that somebody that lives life that way would think about it. So the more you can educate people of that, the more that will come into play. And my original comment was just going to be any municipalities or counties that are doing work, what Sean presented and what Carleton do on a regular basis, utilize the assets that they put out there, because they're worthwhile. They're really good people, and they're trying to do good things. So take what they're, sharing and what they already have in place. And I think you'll start to see more and more things go out into communities. So great job, guys.
Thank you, Matt.
So one thing I'll mention, because Matt just spoke. Matt's the township administrator in Stafford in South Jersey, and they're doing, among other projects, an accessible trail, and facing a lot of the same challenges that we're facing with regulatory issues, where rules that have been written to protect environmental values have not really been designed for trails, and particularly for accessible trails. The other thing I think that that Stafford's project shows is how expensive it can be to create an accessible trail. And that is a huge factor, I think, especially where you've got regulatory issues to get through first, which can take years, I mean, literally years to get through at the moment. But then you're looking at materials and staff and construction equipment to design trails that are both accessible and fit into whatever their setting is, particularly into a natural setting. You also worry about what people will do when a trail is built. Sometimes it becomes a playground for motorcycles or for other inappropriate and usually illegal activity. So it's important to have measures to try to discourage abuse of these trails, so that they really are accessible to the people for whom they are designed. And then there's the question of all the different options of what you can do. Like can you do a handrail, for example, that would be helpful to a person with seeing issues, or at least have along the bottom of the trail, a lip that can be used with a, you know, a stick to stay on the trail. Those are all a lot of factors that can go into making these projects a little challenging, for which we really need funding. And ultimately, the scale of funding that's needed is going to be mostly public. So private foundations and the New Jersey Division of Disability Services, a wonderful agency, have put a lot of, are beginning to put a lot of effort into this project. But ultimately, it's going to take every, you know, the state and every town and county deciding that it's enough of a priority for all of their constituents to make the investment in upgrading some facilities, so there's enough of it to really provide equitable access to natural places. Do people have any experiences of sites that they would share?
Sorry, did somebody else want to go? Because I already told.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I be in the Warren County, and my commissions just did something with the wildlife preserve thing up here, and we have like historic things and all kinds of stuff. I be noticed that like they did improvements like this. It just blows my mind, like the thought process. They did improvements on one of the parks, but they not ramp to the pagoda. I don't know what it's called, like the under the thing where they have the tables where you can park. Like you can't get in there. So little stuff like that like blows my mind. But I'm so grateful that you is working on shedding a need for this, and it's so overdue. A group hug. I'm so appreciates.
Thank you. That makes our day. It looks like we have 20 seconds left, so I think we're wrapping up. Thanks everyone for participating, and really get in touch with Sean or me if you have any interest in getting involved in this project. There's lots of ways to do that, and we need more help.